Hello, everyone. Welcome to Kudlow. I'm Larry Kudlow. So, as much as I love America, these are the times that try an optimist's soul. The Biden administration is running a reckless foreign policy in Afghanistan and elsewhere, and a reckless economic domestic policy at home. In Afghanistan, of course, President Biden has catastrophically bungled his exit strategy. The lack of preparedness is mind-boggling. His willingness to let the terrorist Taliban run the show defies credulity. No one would believe this if not, sadly, it were really true. And the Taliban marched to Kabul, overrunning province after province. The U.S. raised not a single finger of protest. And, of course, there was no military response to prevent it anywhere. Now, the Taliban is running Kabul with their checkpoints. They are blocking access to the airport. Of course, abandoning the Bagram military air base in the dead of night was itself an incredible blunder. Then we had to fight to gain control of the Karzai civilian airport. But here's a question. Why is the strongest military power in the world permitting a bunch of terrorists to operate checkpoints that prevent Americans and Afghans from gaining access to the airport? Why hasn't the administration taken strong military action to clear an easy path for Americans, for NATO personnel, for our Afghan friends who have been assisting us these many years? The Taliban is stealing passports and other documentation. They are roughing up Americans. They are now preventing Afghan citizens from getting to the airport, and we have done nothing about it. How is this possible? Making it even worse, the U.S. is literally leaving women and children behind, and they will be cruelly and inhumanely treated by the terrorists under their so-called Sharia law, which, by the way, doesn't seem to prevent them from gaining currency from the opium and heroin drug trade. I guess that's okay under Sharia law. Not for 1 minute has it seemed clear or apparent to this administration what the consequences will be of leaving a terrorist tribe in charge of a country that has and will continue to harbor other terrorist groups. And the whole lot of them, including their friends in Pakistan, will be plotting terrorist acts against the United States. Instead of telling the Taliban when and how U.S. forces and friends will leave the country, President Biden is letting the Taliban set the deadlines. This, to me, is beyond the pale. We have caved to the Taliban terrorists. Plain and simple, we have caved to them. Now look at British Prime Minister Boris Johnson. French President Emmanuel Macron are advising President Biden to significantly extend the deadline to complete the process of evacuation. Basically, NATO didn't even agree with this withdrawal policy in the first place. But Biden, who, of course, you recall was going to, quote, patch up the European alliance, end quote, he has refused to listen. You know, my former boss, President Trump, gave Europe hell for not paying their share of NATO expenses, and he forced them to pony up. But with his hard-nosed businessman's attitude, he always expressed backing for NATO. Biden has become the isolationist. Go figure. It's part of his recklessness. And meanwhile, every 20 minutes, he and his senior staff throw new numbers around concerning who's still there, who's left, who wants to leave, where they're all sheltered in place. Our government doesn't know. Why? Because there was no preparatory planning for this withdrawal in the first instance. Thousands of people are going to be left stranded. Afghanistan is a battlefield. But our American tradition is that we never leave Americans on the battlefield. This tradition is being broken. We may be abandoning American citizens, but we are surely abandoning our Afghan allies. Right now, we are fighting for America's honor, its credibility, its standing in the world. But listening to the president and his top aides, I get no sense that they understand this urgency. And then yesterday at his presser, the president begins by congratulating House Speaker Nancy Pelosi for her backhanded way of jamming a reckless budget resolution through the House. Take a listen to this.
I want to thank Speaker Pelosi, who was masterful in her leadership on this. and Leader Hoyer and Whip Clyburn and Chairman DeFazio, the entire House leadership team, for the hard work, dedication, and determination to bring people together so we can make a difference in people's lives.
Yeah, well, he didn't get to the Afghanistan catastrophe until he was well through his presentation. By the way, regarding the problem in Afghanistan, blah, blah, blah. Well, let's just stop a minute right here. This is a reckless fiscal policy. We're talking about some $6 trillion plus of additional spending on a far-left Democratic wish list. That includes massive new entitlements, woke transfer payments, Green New Deal subsidies, amnesty for illegal immigrants, federalization of elections, unionization of the workforce, and a massive, all across the board tax attack on business, on investment, on middle-class blue-collar workers, and on U.S. foreign commerce abroad. There isn't one single iota of pro-growth, pro-job creation, prosperity-inducing action in this budget. Not one in this budget. This is a prosperity killer. That is why it is so reckless. This is all about redistribution, not growth. It's all about massive new regulations that will strangle the economy. It's all about paying people not to work, greater welfare dependency on the state without any employment incentives anywhere. That is why it, too, is reckless. As I've said, these are policies that try the patience of an optimist like me. So I'm going to work against them, and I'm going to work to overturn them. That's the mission. I want to preserve America first, with its prosperity and its health and its foreign influence.